Welcome to the Maywood Student Ministry Podcast. We are so happy you are tuning in. This episode kicks off our series, DTR, Dating Relationships That Honor God. Let's listen to a message from Pastor Tony.
Well, we are here. It has been quite some time. This has been in the making for a while. And we're here. And I really am looking forward to these next 10 to 11-ish weeks to dive into all things dating. So, I hope you guys bought the biggest notebook you can find out there. Yes. Okay. If you don't have a notebook, I will gladly go get you a notebook. For real, I will go buy one for you. Okay? To get this out of the way, how many of you even know what the DTR in the slide stands for? This is more of an older term that Corey and I, our generation grew up, and maybe it's just like a moody thing. I don't think so. I think it's beyond that. It's an older term. But DTR means define the relationship. So I'll give you an example of how this would be used. For example, at Moody, there is an unwritten rule. It's not really an official rule. It's an unwritten rule that there is a table in the corner of our dining hall that was called the DTR table. And it was a table where you would go to define what your relationship is. It was called the DTR table. And so when you saw a guy sitting there and a girl sitting there, you were like, I know what they're talking about. They're defining the relationship. So that's what DTR means, okay? Define the relationship. Okay, so I might say to you, you guys need to have a DTR. That means you two probably should talk about what this relationship looks like because neither of you even know what's going on. So you need to define what is this relationship? Is it a friendship? Are we really dating but haven't really officially said we're dating? Do you guys understand? DTR, define the relationship. So that's where that comes from for those of you who don't know. And we're going to define the relationship God's way. Okay? We're going to help you guys look at defining the relationship God's way, dating relationships that honor God. Okay? So I want to kick off tonight, and I want to begin by answering the question, Pastor Tony, why in the world are we even doing a dating series? Why? Well, I'm so glad you guys asked. For starters, some of you in this room right now are dating. Okay? So for starters, there's that. Some of you in this room have dated, and I'm sure many of you in this room desire to date one day. Now, while it's not guaranteed that every one of you in this room will date, it's most likely in your future that you will at some point date. But again, why are we doing a dating series? Well, I've been wanting to do one for a while, and the dating scene in this youth group has picked up quite a bit over the last year, so now is the time. Okay? Now is the time. Now's the time. I wrote that in bold and all caps. Okay? Now's the time. Okay, so don't take this the wrong way, but we really need this series. Don't take this the wrong way, but we really need this series. Okay? It's time we finally talk about it. So again, why are we doing a dating series? Well, let me give you another reason. It's because maybe it's not talked about in your homes at all. Or maybe it's not talked about in depth as we will go here at youth group. I want to read something from this parent's guide to teen dating. And it's by this ministry called Axis. Okay, and they put out some great parent resources. And I want to read something to you about how the conversation is not happening at home for some of you. So let me read this. If you were to ask most millennials or Gen Xers if their parents sat them down to talk to them about dating and sex, their answer would be no. Even if their response is yes, the conversations may have gone something like this. And maybe this is the extent to the conversations you've had at home. This is not me harping on your parents, but maybe this is just the way they had the conversation. Maybe all it was this: don't get a girl pregnant. Maybe that's all the conversation was. Or, I don't know if you guys will get this one, but if you lay down with dogs, you'll wake up with fleas. Okay? Now, here's the thing. It continues on to say this: these are true stories from many of our friends. In fact, a friend of Axis shared that the only instruction her parents gave her about dating was that she couldn't date until she was 16. She turned 16, got her license to drive and date. There was no conversation about character, attraction, boundaries, or appropriate and inappropriate touch. Get this, this really stuck out to me. There were more conversations on how to drive than on how to date. That's what she said. Now, this is not me saying that this describes your parents or your homes at all. I just want to inform you that the conversations are not being had, and if they are, there may not be any substance to them. Therefore, we want to take the time here to equip you and to have the conversations here. So let me give you another reason why we're doing the dating series. You are being influenced by culture. You are being influenced by your peers that push their definition of dating and how they define it and what they think it looks like. Now, this is not an exhaustive list by any means, and we're going to get into more detail throughout this series, but here are some trends that is also in this Parent's Guide to Dating, to Teen Dating, that is happening within you guys that I want to share about how culture plays a factor in this conversation. Okay, here are some trends that are happening. Go ahead. Here we go. Here are some trends that are happening. The first one, the first trend is everything is fluid. Everything is fluid. What does the Parent's Guide to Teen Dating saying about everything is fluid? Gen Z and Gen Alpha highly value individualism and refuse to live in boxes. This creates a lot of fluidity in how they understand and express their sexuality and gender. It also impacts the way they engage in relationships. Many teens are more comfortable with non-committal situationships than labeled relationships. How many of you have heard of the word situationship? Yeah. I was talking with my friend Jordan about this a little bit ago. What were the steps a little bit to situationships? It really has a lot to do with you like the relationship, like someone's texting me, we're calling, but you don't want the commitment at all. Like you want the relationship without the risk. Right? You're in a situationship. 10 months goes by, 11 months go by, and you're like, what are we? We're just talking. Right? Like you're in a situationship. And you guys probably know more about that than I do. I actually just learned about that as I was doing this research. Okay? So everything is fluid. Everything is fluid. The next one that's trending with you guys is ghosting. This actually happened when I was growing up. In fact, I will confess, I ghosted my wife. Totally serious. I ghosted her. We went out on a couple dates, and it didn't work out. honestly, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't in it. And so I just totally ghosted her. But look where we are now. But those of you who don't know what ghosting is, I'm sure you do. But if you start to lack interest in a person, their attraction for them doesn't grow or conflict occurs, they tend to withdraw without communicating and go radio silent instead of ending the relationship. This trend is also the byproduct of children and young adults being overly socialized through social media and social anxiety. Ghosting. It's happening. The next one, dating online. Dating online. While teens are hungry for face-to-face interaction, many still prefer communicating their attraction via social media, like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and even video games. Social media apps will also likely be their primary way of communicating with someone they are interested in dating. Dating online. So those are just some trends that are taking place among your generation. And on top of this, okay, you do not need to look far to see how culture defines dating, love, marriage, and sex within the entertainment business. There are these awful shows. So those of you who have never heard of these shows, let me describe what these shows are, okay? First show, Love is Blind. Synopsis of this: singles try to find a match and fall in love without ever seeing each other face to face, as an emotional connection attempts to conquer physical attraction. I'm never going to see you, but then I want to marry you. That's this show. Now, I get what they're kind of doing here. They're wanting you to love the character and not how they actually are physically, but still, this is not an appropriate way to date and get to know someone. So, Love is Blind. Then you got Too Hot to Handle. Okay? This one, are you guys laughing because you know the shows I'm talking about? Too Hot to Handle. Let me tell you about this one. A group of determined singles visit paradise to meet, mingle, and remain celibate for their chance to win $100,000. This show literally entices them to do things. That's the show. Hey, if you can remain celibate and don't do anything, I'm going to give you money. That's the show. Too Hot to Handle. Okay, let's keep going. Love Island. Love Island. Okay. This series follows islanders who couple up in new surroundings to compete in games and challenges. Throughout their stay, temptations arise and drama ensues when islanders are forced to decide if they want to remain with their current partner or recouple with someone new. Islanders will also be at the mercy of viewers who vote to determine who gets a shot at love and who leaves the villa heartbroken and empty-handed. Okay? Let's keep going. 90 Day Fiancé. Long-distance relationships have challenges that are sometimes difficult to overcome. But consider if the distance traveled was halfway around the world and a couple had just 90 days to decide whether the courtship should end in marriage. You've got 90 days to determine if you're going to marry this person. Okay? And this next one, whew. This next one, The Bachelor, I cannot stand. I don't know how many of you watch these shows, okay? But here's the thing. The Bachelor, I'm going to go on a date with you. I'm going to make out with you. And then 3 minutes later, I'm going to go make out with someone else. Are you serious? I love you. He is so handsome. And he's like onto someone else. It's like, what in the world? Can you tell I get heated about this show? I want to show you. These shows are straight up garbage. They're straight up garbage. Okay. Now let's turn our attention to some songs. The Weeknd, the first song. This is a song about how there is a relationship, and in the relationship, she knows he has another girl, but as long as he comes home by 10:30 and gives her what she wants, she's all good. Wait. And as long as she's with him throughout the weekend, she's all good. Okay? All right, the next song, Happier. This is about how she hopes her ex is happy, but not happier than when he was with her. Okay? Lovin' on Me by Jack Harlow. I'm just going to share with you a lyric from it. I don't like no whips and chains, and you can't tie me down, but you can whip your lovin' on me, baby. Whip your loving on me, baby. The next one. Okay? This is called Sex With Me by Rihanna. I'm not going into detail, but you know what the title means. Okay? There you go. The next one. Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. Okay? I know you guys are not going to like me when I say this. Okay? You're not going to like me. Especially how this person sings about all the breakups she's had. Does anybody want to say it for me? Okay. Oh, by the way, I haven't even touched on country music. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know Lizzie McAlpine. You guys know who that is by chance? Okay. Lizzie. So her song, she has a song, it's called Hate to Be Blamed. And this is how she sought to find what it means when you're falling in love. She said this is her lyric in the song. I read an article on the internet, told me that's how you know you're falling in love. Don't really trust what's on the internet, but maybe just this once. That is how she is determining if she knows she's falling in love. I'm just going to look up an article online. Okay? What a great place to decide if you're really falling in love. Go to an article. But again, this does not surprise me if conversations are not being had at home. Now, this is just a slice of what we are going to see and talk about regarding what culture says about dating, love, marriage, and sex. Shh. Okay, bring it in. So why do a dating series? If I'm being totally transparent with you guys, please hear my love when I say this. Many of you do not know what you're doing. I'm saying that out of love. And I'm not saying like that you guys are like dumb and you like have no clue. I just want to help you. I want to help you. Okay? I want to be of help. When I was at Moody, and even after I graduated from Moody, I heard more so from the girls about how the guys at Moody had no clue how to talk to girls. They had no clue on how to date girls. And I had girls tell me they acted like fools. They acted like fools. And I was one of the fools, by the way. I was one of the fools, okay? But why am I going through all the whys? Why this? Why dating? Why dating series? Why dating series? Why dating series? Because this is important to know. The Bible does not explicitly talk about dating. It doesn't explicitly talk about it. You can't open God's Word and find a step-by-step manual on how to date. There's not a thou shall not kiss on the first date passage in the Bible. Or any passages like that. You see, but the assumption is that as believers, we want to honor God in everything we do. In every aspect of our lives, we desire to bring Him glory. We desire to be faithful unto Him. And so this is where I want to take some time to share with you some foundational verses of the series. We're going to use these verses that I'm about to share with you as the bedrock moving forward. We're going to constantly come back to these verses. And the first verse that I want to share with you is this. Is Matthew 22:37.
Matthew 22:37. And he said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind.
See, in Matthew, the Pharisees heard that Jesus silenced the Sadducees with all of his teachings. And so the Pharisees were like, okay, you silenced the Sadducees, Jesus? Well, let's test Jesus now. It's my turn. The Pharisees were like, okay, let's see if this guy actually knows his stuff. Let's see how well Jesus knows the law. Because the Pharisees knew the law to a T, right? So the Pharisees were like, okay, if the Sadducees can't slip up Jesus, we're gonna get him. We're gonna slip him up. So they go up to Jesus and they say, teacher, what is the greatest commandment to the law? They're trying to slip him up. But Jesus, he drops this bombshell of an answer, one that they don't see coming. And he says, you shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your mind. This is the great and first commandment. See, as Christ followers, we are to love God with every aspect of our lives. We are to show how much we love Him every single moment. We are to show Him how much we love Him in dating. We need to show Him how much we love God in marriage. We need to show Him how much we love even in singleness. Because that might be the journey that God takes some of you on. I don't know. Let me put it to you this way. My love for Corey, yes, my love for her is because of who she is, right? My love for her is for her. But my love for her really comes from my love from God. Do you understand that? My love for her is an extension or an outpouring of my love for God first. It's not the other way around. The reason why I love my wife so well, if I even do, it's because of my love for God. That's where it begins. That's where it starts. If you want to do dating well, you love Him first. You want to do marriage well, love Him first. Because your love for your boyfriend or girlfriend is going to be an outpouring of your love for God first. Don't flip it. It's not going to work. If Corey's first and God is second, we've got a big problem. It's not going to work. If your boyfriend or girlfriend has taken first place, they are the idol that you worship, you need to rethink some things. When you are in a dating relationship, you are to show how much you love God through that dating relationship. I'll give you some examples. What you decide on for your boundaries as a couple is a reflection of how much you love God and desire to please Him. The things you talk about in a dating relationship is a reflection of how much you love God and desire to please Him. What you do when you guys are alone is a reflection of how much you love God and desire to please Him. The reason why you desire to do dating well, the reason why you care about boundaries, that you care about keeping Christ at the center of your relationship, the reason why you hold off on having sex until marriage, the reason why some couples feel convicted to say that they will never kiss until they are married, the reason why you guys always make sure that you are not alone and there's always supervision is because of how much you love God. Not about how much you love the other person, although that for sure is a huge part of it. In showing how much you love the other person and wanting to take care of them, you know it's probably in your best interest that you are always supervised. That isn't a way that you could show that you love that person. But it's so much more about your love for Him. And it better be about Him first if you're even thinking marriage. And that's what you desire to be in. Listen, Corey and I have made some mistakes while dating. I can tell you that for sure. We've made mistakes, but I can tell you this. When we sought to honor and we sought to glorify and we sought to please God in our relationship, yes, we wanted to honor each other, of course. When we did that, our relationship, those were some of the best days. When we honored God in our relationship, those were good days. Those were some of our best days as a couple, when what we did was we want to please God in every aspect of our relationship. Those were good days. Those are some of our best days. And being on this side of things now and being married, honoring God in our dating days has made these married days that much sweeter. It's made our marriage that more special. And I'm going to be honest here too, and a little bit vulnerable, it's made our relationship that much more pleasurable. This is the way that God had intended it. But I want to share some other verses with you. In the same vein as Matthew, hitting the same idea, here's some other verses.
1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God.
Again, in everything that we do, eat, drink, work, sing, watch, listen, read, date, love, worship, marriage, sex, do all to the glory of God. Did you catch that? Everything. Your every move ought to bring God glory. Your every move ought to bring God glory. Let's read the next one.
Psalm 86:12. I give thanks to you, O Lord my God, with my whole heart, and I will glorify your name forever.
I will give thanks to you, O Lord my God, with my whole heart. Every aspect of your life including dating. I'm going to keep drilling this home. Let's go to the next one.
Colossians 3:23 through 24. Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ.
Do you see that? Look how it starts. Whatever you do, whatever, do it for the Lord, not for men. You love your boyfriend and girlfriend because you love God first.
1 Corinthians 6:20. For you were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body.
Guys and girls in this room, honor and please God with what you do with your body. Let me say that again. Honor and please God with what you do with your body. Even how you dress. And we're going to actually get into dress and how you guys dress in a couple of weeks. We're going to get to that. You see, I share these verses to, again, I want to lay the foundation for the series. The foundation of the series is this. Our priority in life is about being faithful to God in everything. Our priority in life, but specifically as we go through this dating series and addressing all of that, it's about being faithful to God. The questions that I desire for us to ask over and over again. Here are the questions that I want us to ask over and over again through this series. Here we go. How am I bringing glory to God in blank? And then what does it look like to be faithful to God in blank? How am I bringing glory to God in our boundaries that we set? What does it look like to be faithful to God in your relationship? Insert the blank, whatever it might be. These are the questions that I want to continue to ask throughout the series. For example, how am I loving the Lord with who I am pursuing right now as I date this person? See, the purpose of this series, here you go, here's our purpose statement. It's to discover what it means to honor God, to be faithful to Him in this particular aspect of our lives with dating. We will seek to discover what it means to honor God in making sure our own hearts are in the right place before we even consider dating. We will seek to discover what it means to honor God about being wise when it's who we choose to date. We will seek to discover what it means to honor God in the dating relationships that some of you are in right now in this room. We will seek to discover what it means to honor God in being a godly man and a godly woman. And to continue on in boundaries, physical, emotional, situational, and spiritual. Do you guys realize there are more than just physical boundaries? Singleness. What does it mean to honor God in singleness? Long distance relationships. Breakups. How do you honor God in a breakup? Sex. Seeking to not lead others on. And understanding what is wise regarding one-on-one alone time. Or even what does it mean to text appropriately to show that I'm not leading this person on. And so on. There are principles that God's Word gives that aid us in what a holy relationship looks like. So why do this series? It's prevalent. It's what some of you are in right now, and it's what others desire to be in. It is a relationship that most will be in someday, and we as a leadership team want you to be prepared and ready as you can be. So as we kick off this series, everything is going to come back to this one question. I know we have these two questions here that I want you to continue to ask, but I am going to ask you this one question in particular. What does it look like to be faithful to God in insert the blank? And so to help us get ready for this, I feel like we really need to prepare our hearts for this series. And we're going to pray. We're going to take some time to pray. But I want to give you some specifics. I want us to pray and ask God to open our hearts. The big word is open. Pray that God would open your heart. Pray that He would open your heart through what you learn in this series, because here's why I want you guys to pray that God would open your heart. God might ask some drastic things of you in this series. He might ask you to break up with the person you're in right now, you're dating, because it is not a God-honoring relationship. He might ask you to do that throughout this series. He may lay it on your heart to commit to not live with your boyfriend and girlfriend, which, by the way, still happens today. People live together and they're not even married. He may lay on your heart that you will say that you are not going to have sex until you are married, and you're going to commit to that. And I will even add, commit to not all of the other things that are attached with that. Do you guys get what I'm saying there? The other things you can do that are not actually that. Commit to not doing that too. He may ask you to do some drastic things. Maybe you've gone too far in your relationship already. You've broken those boundaries. And it's time to pump the brakes, back it up, seek forgiveness from God, and seek forgiveness from your boyfriend or girlfriend. And then reestablish those God-honoring boundaries. Maybe that's what God's going to ask you. Or maybe you are going to commit to not date anyone who is not a believer. Maybe God will ask that of you. Or maybe God is going to ask you to stop leading others on. You want to honor God and others in how you dress, how you talk to other girls and other guys, and not only in person, but even online. Maybe God's going to ask you to do that. Or maybe God's going to say, right now, your primary focus is pursue me. You want to follow Christ so much that maybe right now pursuing a dating relationship is not a priority for you, and it takes a back seat because your relationship with Him is far more important to focus on right now. Maybe He's going to ask you to do that. And maybe God is saying singleness is what He has for you right now. I don't know. So pray. Pray that God would open your heart, because He may ask some drastic things of you. And then, as we pray that God would help you commit. These are the two things I have for us as we close here. Pray and commit. Commit to being here for the next 10 weeks, 9 weeks now. Commit. If you're in a relationship, commit it to Him. Bring your relationship, those of you who are dating, before Him these next 9 weeks and allow Him to make it what He wants it to be, which again goes back to having an open heart, holding your dating relationship loosely. And then I'm also going to ask you guys to commit to bring questions. Here's something that I'm going to ask you guys to commit to. Make the most of your small group discussion. Let that time be so fruitful. Bring questions. You are going to get the most out of this if you are involved and engaged. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. See, we as leaders can put this series together for you, but if you come checked out, if you come fooling around, that's on you. That's on you. We're all going to learn, grow, and be challenged, convicted, and we're going to ask questions together. Now, I'll be honest. I wish that I was more intentional and serious when we had these messages and studies when I was in youth group. I brushed them off when I was in youth group, I'll be honest. How serious will you take this series? It's on you. Because I'll just be honest again, it says a lot to me if you come and say, I've got this. This whole dating thing, I've got it. Or it says a lot to me if you're like, we're good. Our relationship, good. Nothing to worry about. Or, yeah, we don't need this right now. We're good. And you know what I'm going to say to you guys? Okay, that's on you. That's on you. So, commit. Commit with an open heart.
Thank you for tuning in to the Maywood Student Ministry podcast. We hope and pray that this episode encouraged and strengthened you in your walk with the Lord. If you are interested in learning more about our ministry, please search Maywood Student Ministries on Facebook or Instagram, or visit mefc.us. See you on the next episode.